Hello, welcome. I this is weird. Today is our first day moving Mini Masterclass Thursday over to a live Zoom. So I'm going to give it a few moments for anybody who may be joining us or wanting to join us live to do so. I do see someone coming on, so yay. Hello, Lauren. We are live in action. Oh, are you unmuting? Hi. Oh, she's waving. Hello
Oh,
to
can you hear
everybody.
me?
Yeah, now I can.
I wasn't even muted. Hi.
Cool. I was just saying I'm going to give it a few minutes in case people actually are going to join the Zoom live.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But the links are working and here we are.
Yay.
Yay. So I was going to do today a little bit different. I'm going to do kind of an update from PBS for the new year, followed by some reminders since we didn't actually do our end of the year December 26th mini masterclass because I was picking people up from the airport. And then I am going to do our strategic business planning. So you might run a little bit over today, but it'll be all good stuff. I'm going to just give it like 2 more minutes. So we'll start at 4:03 Pacific time. But I had this craving for Diet Coke and I never, ever, ever drink soda anymore. But for some reason, I was sitting at my desk and I was like, oh my God, Diet Coke sounds so good. Totally having forgotten that for my Friendsgiving potluck, I bought Diet Coke and Diet Sprite and Sprite as mixers, and they were in my cupboard. Still, like the leftovers were in my cupboard. So I'm sitting here thinking, God, I don't know why I want a Diet Coke. I went to the laundry room. I opened a cupboard because I was going to do laundry, and there's Diet Coke just waiting on me
That's a
that I
fun
had completely
surprise.
forgotten about. So it was like, what? So it was a happy little accident right there.
I thought it was like a really dark green juice at first when you looked
Oh,
at it.
no, I do drink those too, but this is Diet Coke.
A little treat.
Little treat. The only time I drink Diet Coke anymore is on an airplane. Don't know
Hmm.
why, but every time I'm on an airplane, I think, ooh, Diet Coke on ice sounds really good. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because I don't drink Diet Coke. I don't drink soda. But for some reason, when I'm in the air, 30,000 feet, it just sounds so good.
Airplanes are my cheat area too. I always get a ginger ale. Like that's just, I don't know. It's always sounds so good on an airplane.
Yeah. And I won't drink it because it's full of sugar. So
Yeah.
personally, but yeah, if for some reason in the air you just get these cravings that are off the wall. But apparently,
Right.
apparently I get them here too. But all right, it's 4:03 and audio is working, video is working, links are working. So I'm sure that's why you jumped on to make sure of that. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go ahead and start the mini masterclass. And if you're not joining us live, you are joining the replay, which we have either posted to our YouTube, our LinkedIn, or our Instagram page. So thank you for also joining us on the replay. We appreciate everyone who watches, whether it's live or after the fact. We would love for you to also share. And now that these are going to be permanent links, you can share it with your friends and family and colleagues if you know someone who may benefit from the information that we're bringing you. For those of you who may be new to Mini Masterclass Live, it has historically always been, for I think the last 2 years now, an Instagram Live event. But over the last year, at least year, solid, we've had so many technical difficulties and glitches with the Instagram Live platform that we decided, with a little encouragement from one of our colleagues, that we should move it to a Zoom Live. So the unfortunate part is we don't get that notification on Instagram that goes out that PBS is now live. However, we can potentially now stream to many platforms, not just Instagram, which is the direction we're going, so that we can help educate even more people at a time through our mini master classes. So I think it's a very good thing at the end of the day. So I'm going to start off by giving you some of our little PBS updates and announcements since it is our first mini masterclass of 2025 and maybe a little like from your CEO announcements. I want you to know what we're doing internally because as your accounting professional now or in the future, it's I think important that you understand what we always are doing on the inside to try to better serve our clients, try to remain even safer with compliance, try to increase our level of security, and the new things that we're doing, because you don't always get that information unless you subscribe to our newsletter, which you should absolutely be doing. If you don't already subscribe, we come out with a newsletter on the 15th of every month, and it is loaded with all things business, small business, with regulations, state laws, updates, payroll information, HR information, QuickBooks information, accounting information. It's all the things that you as a business owner should know at some point to help you be compliant and or run your business more efficiently. So the 15th of every month, we come up with our newsletter. And if you don't already subscribe, please just comment and we are happy to send you a subscription invitation. So what we're doing here, we are actually updating our entire internal project slash task management solution, which really doesn't affect you at all, except it allows us to be more efficient. It's going to be, I think, a better workflow for between us and our customers and internally. It will allow us to see full visibility instead of going to multiple platforms, which we currently use to consolidate into one platform. And it actually has a very increased level of security, which was another update we wanted to make, just to make sure that we're always putting ourselves in front of security for our customers, because as you know, with accounting, we are dealing with very sensitive information at all times. So we're protecting our customers, protecting our firm, and also creating an environment that's more conducive to efficient workflows and streamlining our daily processes, which is something we do for our customers, but we don't always do for ourselves because we're just in the mix of doing as much as we can for our customers. So we're finally taking that step. That's one huge improvement we're making internally this year. We're also offering new services. So we have evolved over the last almost 10 years, just like our customers have evolved. And thankfully and gratefully, because of our customers' evolution, we've had the opportunity to evolve from serving very small, what we'll call micro businesses, to now being able to serve much larger, medium-sized businesses that are anywhere between the 5 to 5 million on average, 500,000 to 5 million on average sized companies. So thank you again for being part of that journey for us, past, present, and future customers. It's all because of you that we're here. But because we are where we are now and we are able to serve those types of customers, we're bringing in services that support it. Last year, we introduced controller services, or it might have even been a year ago, end of the year before. We introduced controller services, which allowed us to work in tandem with in-house accounting departments. So you keep your accounting, or you have an accounting professional or in-house person, but you need that extra support. You need us to take just some of the nuanced accounting tasks off your plate. You don't want to do the audits. You can delegate all that stuff to us, but the day-to-day stays in-house. We were able to introduce that, and it's been a really great way to still connect with companies that are too large for outsourced accounting because they really need like someone in there 8 hours a day helping them, but don't want to lose the partnership of working with someone and or having the checks and balances of working with someone external. Now we are going to introduce by the end of first quarter of this year. Yours truly is currently getting certified as a certified fractional CFO. So I've put investment into continuing education to become a certified fractional CFO so that we can introduce that level of service and those tasks to our customers or to new customers who need an even higher level of financial support and guidance and advisory that we don't currently offer. So we will be bringing that to you in 2025. The goal is by the end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter, we'll have that offering available to all of our clients, of course, but new clients as well. We are moving towards more digitization. So instead of doing monthly financial reports that just get emailed to you, we are moving to a video recap or some sort of digital resource that you can have and that you can review over and over again, or that you can review and then ask us questions. So we're staying very interactive, very personalized, very hands-on, but taking advantage of things like transcribing and video to increase the engagement and allow you to have even more in-depth information at your fingertips about your numbers. So that is kind of what we are doing with early quarter one PBS updates. We do have a sister company, and I thought it might be nice to bring this up to you because I'm sure not everybody knows this. We do have a sister company. It's called Simplified Accounting Management, and it is our education and consulting and training firm that we focus on QuickBooks Online education. But in 2025, we are taking it even broader than just QuickBooks Online, and we are really diving into more of the financial consultation, business advisory, and helping businesses really understand how to make strategic business moves using their numbers as the basis of every decision that they make in their companies. So last year, we actually did introduce a workshop series called Financial Literacy for Business Owners. And we held it all over the country through Simplified Accounting Management, and it helped educate business owners on financial literacy. It gave them everything they didn't know about their finances, how to move from one step to the next, how to evolve as an entity, what they need to know from tax compliance, all the things in a one-day live workshop. And we are going to continue that workshop and build on that workshop this year. This year, we're actually making it much deeper into audit compliance, and not just like do your books because you're supposed to, but all the reasons why doing your books affects your business both positively and negatively if you don't do it. So we really, really want to bring top-notch education across the country to business owners about why knowing your numbers actually matters. And it almost has nothing to do with a tax return other than you have to do your tax return. It has so much to do with so many other things. So we're bringing that, we're adding locations. We're actually adding an East Coast location, an Arizona location, a Texas location. We have a Montana location, a California location. So updates about those will be coming out as well as soon as we have everything solidified. So on the Simplified Accounting Management side, we are deepening our education and diving more and more into the numbers with our clients. And we have a brand new website. We've never had a website for Simplified Accounting Management before. It's been a very just kind of organically referral oriented company. And now we have a physical website, and I'm very happy and pleased with it. And it is www.saminkservices.com. We could put that in the notes here for you if you're reading it, looking at it through YouTube. But yes, we have a brand new website, and we're updating our PBS website as well. So that's something to come in Q1 for the PBS company. I think those are our major announcements of what's going on in PBS land and Simplified Accounting Management land, otherwise known as SAM Inc. Land for you. So now I'm going to move over to reminders. And there's several reminders, several things going on in January. January actually happens to be one of the busiest months period of the year for accounting professionals. And it's because it's the end of the year wrap up. It's tax compliance starting up for tax season. It's W-9s, it's W-4s, 1099s, payroll corrections, sales tax filings, quarterly filings. There's so much going on in January, not to mention starting a new year and what's going on just for 2025 and how are we going to evolve that. So That's why I picked strategic business planning for this month, because if you haven't already started planning for 25, now is the perfect time and the best time to do it, because the more you get into 25, the more you're going to lose sight of how it does this align with my strategic vision for this year. So reminders are January 15th, the fourth quarter, so 2024 fourth quarter tax estimates are due, which means that you have to pay if you owed at least $1,000 or more on your 2023 taxes, you were to have been making quarterly estimated tax payments throughout 2024, and the final one of 2024 is due on January 15th. Hello, Chloe. Thank you for joining. So I want to just make sure you understand that that's due. Now, if you followed us, thank you. If you followed us for any length of time, you've also heard us talk about tax planning and tax strategy, and you may have also heard us talk about reasonable compensation. If you put all of those motions into play for 2024, you may be in a place from a tax perspective where you do not have to make that fourth quarter payment because you've potentially already paid in enough to resolve your tax liability. You would only know that if you're working personally with a tax professional that has been proactive with you along the way, or if you put that strategy into place earlier in the year, which is one of the strategies I will talk about today with strategic business planning and using reasonable compensation in that way. So potentially January 15th is your fourth quarter estimate due. If you do sales tax, January 30th or 31st is your fourth quarter sales tax deadline. If you do payroll through an actual payroll company that withholds taxes, you have to have all W-2s issued to your employees postmarked by January 31st. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be in their lap, it has to be postmarked. If you're doing electronic delivery, it also has to be electronically delivered by January 31st. If you're using us, if we're your accounting team, then that's being taken care of already, unless we don't manage payroll for you. So I'm giving you that that heads up. Every year we run into a circumstance where, oh, this person's payroll was wrong. Oh, that deduction didn't get done. Oh, we need to go back and amend something. Very common, very normal. It requires what they call a payroll correction, meaning the payroll company you use, whether it's Intuit or Gusto or ADP or Paychex or whatever else is out there, the payroll company you use has to amend the 2024 totals and or taxes and or returns that have already been filed, which I need you to understand that is a 45 to 60-day process at minimum, especially right now. If you had started it in fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, you may have been able to correct it by now, but it's payroll companies are absolutely slammed this time of year, from people moving over to them, starting new with them, the payroll corrections, the W-2s going out, all that stuff. So let your employees know, if you have a correction that is going to be done, that their W-2 is going to be delayed. This is a favor you can do yourself, because they'll have expectation management then. But you also want to let them know, because they may need to extend their tax return if they don't have a corrected W-2 by the time they need it in order to file their taxes. Now, because we're in January, on January 9th, you do have a significant amount of time, and the individual tax return deadline isn't till April 15th. So there's probably no need for that now. But you don't know until you kind of get down that path how long this might take, depending on who you're working with. So just giving you a heads up, let your employees know that we're doing this payroll correction, but it is going to delay your corrected W-2, and you don't want them to use the one that's going to come, that's the wrong one. So you want them to understand they need to wait till the corrected W-2 comes out. Speaking of W-2s, most payroll companies, if you've been running your payroll through a payroll company, have W-2s ready anywhere between January 17th-ish through obviously the 31st. So they will be providing you either the emails or that goes straight to your employees, or your employees might have an app that they can log into and they can access it. But don't expect that to happen until at least after the 17th on most cases. So there's an expectation management deadline or timeline for you. I'm looking over my, okay. If you did not do reasonable compensation for 2024, I highly encourage you to start the year by making sure you do your reasonable compensation analysis for 2025 now. The reason for that is that as an officer of your S corp, you want to make sure you are doing everything you can to make sure you pay yourself a minimum of reasonable compensation. And you cannot take any distributions until you've met reasonable compensation. So knowing that number in your head, even if you don't pay yourself on a normal cadence, you might have to pay yourself every other month because of cash flow, or you might want to pay yourself once a month instead of every 2 weeks like everybody else. Doesn't matter when, it matters what you pay yourself. So until you reach reasonable, you can't take distributions. So knowing that number helps you make those decisions properly. And then once you've made reasonable compensation, you can take distributions unlimited, depending on a couple tax considerations, which would be individual to your circumstance, which is a tax planning strategy. So not only are you taking advantage of being able to pay less taxes legally on yourself, but you're also then lowering your company's taxable liability, which helps you on your K1. So I encourage you, if you didn't really think about it or do it in 24, let's do it on early 25 and understand that number so that you can set yourself up properly moving forward. I saw so many people at the end of 24 struggling with the fact that when they put in the dollar amount necessary to reach reasonable compensation, their tax payment ended up being tens of thousands of dollars. One person I helped, their tax payment that they were supposed to pay themselves in December because they hadn't done it all year long was $30,000. Now imagine what it would take and what it would look like for your company to in December have to come up with $30,000 to be in compliance, to have paid enough taxes and to have paid yourself reasonable compensation. Or you can do it little by little by little all year long and hardly feel it at all. So you're helping yourself, you're putting yourself in compliance for the S Corp regulations and guidelines, and you're taking less of a hit by paycheck that way. So those are my kind of reminders for you, and that's the timeline. We personally are focusing internally on 1099s and closing 2024 for all of our clients. We have pulled all of our monthly meetings off of the calendar for January because it is such a busy month with compliance, 1099s, and payroll corrections that we just want to keep our eye on making sure everything is dialed in as best as possible and that we provide the highest level of service on the most important things, which are all of this tax stuff and deadline oriented things. So that's what we're doing. Starting next week, every single client we have, we're going to drill in and make sure everything's done. 1099s are done. All the payroll is done. Questions, last minute questions we may have are accounted for 24, and then we'll start our 24 review calls in February. If you're our client, you've already received a couple emails about booking your 2024 review. If you haven't done that yet, please go back to that email. There's a link that's specific to the 24 review calls. You can use it and book it ASAP. I will tell you that our calendar gets cray cray during tax season. So do yourself a favor and book ASAP so that you get your preferred date and time. We are very flexible if you have to move or change. We are totally fine with that, but at least you get that first dibs on your preferred date and time for your 2024 review. The last thing I'll mention about a reminder is if you're watching this and you're like, you know what, 24 is a freaking mess. I haven't even started. I haven't touched it. We are happy, more than happy to help you with a cleanup of 24 or even 23, 22. We get multiple year cleanups all the time. We do need you to understand that you will have to file a tax extension because there is not the time to thoroughly and accurately go through a year's worth of bookkeeping by any of the tax deadlines that are coming up at this moment. So by now we do not have the time because how we work very thoroughly and we tick and tie everything. We don't just slap numbers together. We don't just bulk import everything. We really take the time to go through and make sure that information is accurate and that we audit proof to the very best of our ability your financials. Meaning we look at everything and we ask ourselves, in an audit, would this fly? In an audit, would that fly? We discuss it with you, we review it with you, and that all takes time. So it's not too late, but you will need to file a tax extension. If you file one, let's say your extension, if you're an S corp, would be from March 15th. You may be able to file as soon as April 1st. It doesn't mean you're going to have to wait until October or September. It just means that you won't make the actual deadline for this year if you haven't actually started the process yet. From us, and that's our point of view. There might be companies out there with, 30 employees that can jam it out faster or have bigger resources. But if you're using us, then that is our timeline. Okay, strategic business planning. Here we go. What I mean by that is that you want to be strategic in every move you make on your business planning. And that is long-term goals, that is short-term goals, that is budgeting, that is cash flow, that is projects that you might be launching or getting yourself into. It's so many different things, and every business is different. So I can't possibly speak to every industry on this, but generically, the more strategic you can be in your planning efforts, in your budgeting, in your action goals, and your meetings and your teams that you put together, the more success you're going to have in reaching those goals. But I want to stress that when you're planning short term, you should be thinking, how does this short term goal get me to my long term goal? What part of my long term goal does this short term goal play? Because at the end of the day, we all started a business to have you fill in the blank, to have freedom of time, to have freedom of finances, to have more family time, to have an exit strategy, to leave a legacy, to build wealth, to what was your end goal? Why do you want to do what you're doing? To help people, to serve a community, to bring change, whatever that looks like for you individually is what you should keep at top of mind when you're strategizing on your short-term goals. How does this short-term goal get me to my long-term goal? Long-term is a year, 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, 50 years. What is the end goal here? And if it's a 50-year strategy, that means it's an exit strategy. That means it's a legacy. That means it's you plan to leave this to your family and their families. And how does that happen in your business? And what goals do you need to reach? Milestones do you need to reach from now to then to make it a reality? So there's a whole concept on this. I can't teach this concept on a mini masterclass, but I want to plant the seed for you to start thinking, how can I be strategic? I'm going to tell on myself, and I'm going to say that when I first started my business in 2015, my strategic planning went like this. I don't want to work in corporate America anymore. I like doing bookkeeping on the side for my couple clients. Okay, I'm going to quit my job. That was my strategic planning to a T. I had no long-term vision. I didn't even have a short-term vision past, I hope I don't starve in the first few years of making this thing happen. In fact, it went completely the opposite and it blew up, which I'm so very thankful for. But that was my goal, to not starve, to be able to pay my bills And now I know what I know that I didn't know back then, and I could have gotten from where I was to where I am probably in half the time had I been strategic. Again, something I learned that I can now help others through, but at the time I didn't do it. So that's why I'm bringing it to you. The more strategic you can be, it will just help you so much. Strategic with your employees, strategic with your job descriptions, strategic with the team you actually build around you. Who do you hire first versus over someone else? What tasks you delegate off your plate? Strategically delegate so that you can focus on the thing that you need to focus on, whether it's the sales, the growth of the company, the marketing, the internal, whatever you choose as kind of your zone of genius. How do you then delegate everything else so that they all empower you to do what you do better and faster and more efficient? Because that's the goal of a team, is that by you letting go of the things that you cannot do well, or you don't do well, or you don't want to do at all, or holding you back from making the sale that you could have made if you had time, whatever that looks like, use the people around you, and that is the magic. That is the total magic. But you need to be strategic about it. I know that I'll give you another example of me. I waited me too long to hire an admin, and I kept hold of so much for so long that I just ended up dropping balls, because at the end of the day we can only hold so many things as one person. Whether we think we can do it all or not, we will eventually prove to ourselves that we cannot, at least not well, for a very long time. So had I had more guidance and mentorship, I would have hired an admin so much sooner than I did. And as soon as I did, it was like amazing grace. It just was wonderful to be able to get that stuff off my plate so I could focus on my customers, on my customer work. And that's what allowed me to build as my customers built their businesses as well. If I had had to keep doing all the administrative work, there's no way I could have kept up with it, because it's just too much to do. And then you bring on accounting work, and then you bring on compliance work, and then you bring on, and then you bring on. So be strategic in your team first and foremost, for sure. Budgeting. Have you set your 2025 budget? It's okay if you haven't. We talked about budgeting several months ago, and you should already started in Q4, early Q4, hopefully thinking about 2025, but maybe you didn't. It's just fine. Now you can use your 2024 actual totals as the basis for doing your 2025 budgeting. You can say, I want to increase here, I want to decrease here, I want to add this, I want to take out that. Oh, wow, we're spending what, $10,000 a year on dues and subscriptions? I think we can get that down to eight. Maybe that $2,000 that I'm saving can be put into a marketing plan that's actually going to get us more business. It's endless possibilities. That is something we absolutely help with our customers, and especially through the CFO services that we're bringing on, we will be able to take a deeper dive into numbers like that and help you with these strategic plans. But it's something that if you have even the tiniest bit of knowledge about, you can start on your own or engage us to help you through it. So your budgeting, be strategic about it. Do you know historically February is a low month? Budget that month to be low so that you can not be shocked when you wanted it to be all pretty, but it went like this. Budget it. You know in your mind it's your business. Budget for it. Also budget for March and April to pick up the pieces of what February didn't bring in, or you would have budgeted it for to save more in December and January because you know February is going to be low. All those types of things are strategic. If you think, okay, by the end of first quarter, which I didn't mention earlier, but by the end of first quarter, we plan to expand our team. Maybe you do too. Maybe you want to bring in an ops manager by April, right? Plan for that, budget for that, put an increase in your payroll in the budget, put the activities related to getting to that position in the budget so that you can track how you're doing against that plan. Little by little, every month, you should be reviewing your budgets to actuals. How am I actually doing versus what I thought I wanted to do? Is it realistic? If it's not, change it. A budget is a living, breathing document. You can change it any moment at any time. It's not wrong. You may have this wild vision that you think is completely possible, But when you actually get through the doing of the things, you go, "Ooh, okay, maybe we weren't ready for that. It's okay. Change it." Or maybe you're like, "Oh God, last year kicked our butts, so we're just gonna play it real safe this year." And maybe this year's the year you go, boom, skyrocket, and you can update your budget to meet a goal that is being supported by the actual business that you have. So, long-term goals. I wouldn't personally, I don't try to go much past 3 years because life just changes and so much gets thrown at us every year that you have no idea is coming your way. So you can't really know what you're going to have 10 years from now, but you can still have an end goal in mind and you can still milestone your goals towards that end goal. By the way, your end goal might change, and that is completely okay. I also I've made every mistake possible, you guys. So trust me when I say I also spent so long not changing things up because I said, well, this is what I said I wanted. This is what I said I was going to do. This is what I said my business did. I didn't want to let people down. I didn't want people to think I was wishy-washy. I didn't want to but everything I didn't wanna had to do with someone else's opinion or thoughts. Did not ever have to do with what I wanted personally or what fulfilled me personally. And when I stopped thinking about it as who am I gonna let down and disappoint by changing to who can I better serve? Who's going to be happier with me? Who's going to think that this is way better service? Who's going to understand, respect, and value this so much more than what I was doing? That's what I focused on. And it just changes your mentality entirely. So I encourage you to, yes, set the long-term goals, but when they change, just let them. It's okay. It's organic. Life is organic. Business is organic. You might completely change your vision between now and 2028, and that is totally okay. But having put yourself as close to possible of that original goal will only fuel more success when you do change it up because you'll have the background and the mentality of, okay, now I'm going for this thing instead. And I know how to do it and I know where I want it to go. So I encourage you to do long-term goals and then milestone goals, which is your short term, in order to get there. Short-term goals might be revenue related, product related, team related, vacation time related. Maybe your short-term goal is I want to take 3 months off this year and I need to make that happen this year. That's a short-term goal. How do I put enough people in place to make enough happen to where I can afford to step away for 3 months of this year? Let's do it. That's a goal. Do it. But that's a short-term goal. That doesn't help you get to 3, 5, 10 years from now. So, but putting yourself in the place to take that 3 months off, it means your business is thriving and you can do things now without you being present that fuel that long-term goal. So, um, reverse engineer all your goals. So you want to take little baby steps. You want to see, okay, this is where I want to be. How do I get there? You need to reverse engineer them so that every time you make a goal happen, you achieve a milestone, you have something you can celebrate, you can check off, you can say, I did this, therefore this next thing can happen. So it's like a checks and balances, it's a delegation, it's a whatever else needs to happen. Who do I need to put in play? What are their tasks? Who do we maybe need to hire or outsource to make this thing happen? So reverse engineering with small, attainable, realistic action steps towards both your short-term and your long-term goals. And then finally, we'll talk about marketing. Your marketing, the marketing that you do needs to align with those short-term and long-term goals. How many website clicks, how many Instagram live posts, how many Twitters, how many TikTok views, how many everythings do you need to get one of the thing that you need to sell? So quantify that by, do I need one or do I need 10 or do I need 100 to meet my goal? Now you kind of know what marketing efforts you can put into place to meet your actual goals. You have to know your numbers to do any of this, by the way. any of it. Because if you're in the blind about what your business is actually doing, you have no way to strategize. You have no way to budget. You have no way to look at the numbers and say, are they realistic or are they not? Is this going to work? Do you sell 10,000 a month or 30,000 a month now because you're budgeting for needing $45,000 a month to meet your goal. So are you taking a leap from 10 or are you taking a leap from 30? If you don't know that, you're not going to be able to budget, or at least in a way that's meaningful and can actually lead you to obtain your goal. So your marketing efforts need to be aligned with your goals, which requires you to know your numbers and then put together a marketing strategy that puts you in front of the right people. Is it maybe speaking engagements? Is it maybe chamber events? Is it flyers at dental offices? Is it, I don't know, billboards in your town? What is it that's going to put you in front of the right customer, the ideal customer that's going to say, I want to buy from them? And then you can go to work on making that happen. So that's all part of strategic business planning. We actually teach a workshop. I'm going to do a shameless plug here. We actually teach a workshop across the country. It's our financial literacy for workshop or for business owners workshop. It's 1 day live only. We don't have any virtual offerings for this because it's so important to collaborate with other business owners who are going through what you're going through or have been, that you can learn from, or you can help that person that's brand new avoid because they're in the same room with you and you're all doing the same things. But we do teach a workshop that helps you actually break all of this down, brings you all the tools, gives you resources, allows you to ask questions live and get industry leading experts to help answer you. It's like having a personalized coaching session for $150 for the day. Not joking. So if you're interested in that in a city near you, please definitely reach out. But you will see it coming in all of our newsletters and our socials and our websites as well. We hope that you will follow along. We hope you enjoy the Zoom version of Instagram Live. Please give us your feedback. If you have it, we want it. We want to do better and more and faster and everything for you. So whatever's meaningful and you need for your business, please send it in. If there's a topic you want us to discuss, if there's a business related quandary that you have, bring it to us. We would love to help educate you through mini masterclass. We did go about 15 minutes over tonight, but I appreciate everyone who's watching live and on the replay. We will see you in 2 weeks. Our mini masterclasses happen the second and fourth Thursday of every single month. So we'll see you there, and Happy New Year. Here we go.